I love Barnes & Noble, but it'll never stand the test with some of these indie bookstores. I'm serious. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Sammy, Sam Marie, Samantha Marie-a-lot, if you will. And today we're going back on another bookstore tour, bookstore ranking, whatever you want to call it. We toured the bookstores of Orlando, Florida while we were in town for a wedding. A little bit to know about me if you're new here. If this is your first time, I'm 28 years old. I'm a psych PA, own a small business, make smoothie bowls for a living. I'm married. I'm a fur baby mother of 3, book collector, hobby enthusiast, avid reader, and every once in a while I like to check out the indie bookstores of a new city that we're going to, and so that's exactly what we did while we were in Orlando. Now, this is going to be a little bit shorter and a little bit sweeter because I did not get the opportunity to go to too many. We were a little bit rushed for time. The drive was quite a long drive, like 15 hours, but we also broke it up in a way that we could stop and see my best friend, but she was kind of like 3 hours out of the way, so that's 6 hours. It was a little bit messy, but we made it to Orlando. We made it to the wedding. We had a good and fun time, and we got to go to some bookstores, okay? And they were amazing. Listen, some of the best bookstores I feel like I've ever been to before were here in Orlando, but I'm gonna make some like honorable mentions, some shout outs, because there's bookstores that I would have loved to go to if we would have had the time, but we did not have the time, and that's okay. Obviously, if I'm going to the bookstore, I'm gonna get something. But not all of these add to my physical TBR because some of these are trophies. They are books that I've read and I've loved and I've really enjoyed. So first and foremost, let's just rip the band-aid off and go ahead and talk about the Barnes & Noble, because that is not independently owned. That is the chain of bookstores along with Books A Million. Of course, we stopped there just because I love to know what the Barnes & Noble vibe is of the places we go to, because I love Barnes & Noble, but it'll never stand the test with some of these indie bookstores. I'm serious. They were so good. I checked out the Barnes & Noble, okay? I'm going to put the address here because I really did not know the areas of Orlando that we were in. It was a 2-store Barnes & Noble, and then it was kind of like what you expect when you walk in. They have all the tables, the new and noteworthy areas right off to the right. They have the Starbucks. They did have a lot more of like, they had this bookshelf towards the back that was behind the romance that was just kind of like, I don't know if it was leftovers or one copy left, but there were some cool additions that they had back there. It had a lot of books that you don't see at every single Barnes & Noble. But yeah, downstairs, I mean, romance, fiction, mystery, a lot of the nonfiction and things were upstairs. Great layout, great time. Had the best of bookseller at the front. And listen, if a book girlie starts talking to me about a deal on a book, I'm probably going to give in. So I was not supposed to leave with all the books that I did leave with, but just know the booksellers at that Orlando Barnes & Noble, top tier chef's kiss, give them commission. I mean, I don't know if they do get commission, but give them commission, because that girl, she worked me, she played me, and I'm happy about it, honestly. There were certain books that I was going there with the intention of looking for because I was currently reading them and currently loving them. I think I'm entering my sports romance era. I cannot put them down. I can't put them down. So I was reading, and this is the book I was like, I have to find this, and I wasn't able to find this at any of the other bookstores we went to, and so that was a little bit part of the reason of going to Barnes & Noble as well. As I was like, I feel like they're gonna have it. This is the book I was looking for. Listen, couldn't find her anywhere, and I'm looking at the last names of the romance, and I'm like, SS, not there. However, Metal Slinger is face out. It's one of the face out books, but they have 2 face out books back to back, and I'm like, so that's not right. So that means there's probably some different books behind one of those. So I moved it, and there was 1 copy of this left. And that's Please Don't Go by Salvador. I just finished this book. I really, I ate this up. Such a good and fun time. I don't know if we're here to talk about the books too much, but this is a sports romance. He is golden retriever, baseball player who has some history of trauma. She is black cat energy, grumpy, like it's grumpy sunshine, but it's reverse. The girl is grumpy, and she used to be a swimmer, but she's grieving and she's going through the loss of her mom, and her mom was kind of the whole reason behind her being a swimmer. With losing her, she just feels like she's kind of lost a purpose in life. She's not sure who she's supposed to be anymore. She's not swimming. But these two meet. They're in unfortunate circumstances that I'm not going to speak about here, because if you want to read this book, go ahead and read the trigger warnings for it. The connection is so emotional, raw, deep. It's such a good little love story. I love these characters so much. I will say the first 50% of the book, 5 stars. The last 50% of the book, maybe closer to 3.75. It was going to be a 5-star until certain things, but this is not a full book review, but it was, I mean, like, I'm going to reread this book one day, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait. There's some characters that she's teasing as if they're going to have their own books, and I haven't done research because this is my first book by Salvador. She's teasing other characters getting stories, and if there's this one couple that if I don't get their story, I will riot. I will riot, and I just have to speak to Salvador about it. This is another one that I believe is very deep, very emotional. I've heard wonderful things about it. This is Unsteady by Peyton, Corinne. I know it's a hockey romance. I believe that there's also some heavy emotional trauma and things going on. I mean, I see on the back something about panic attacks. So yeah, I know it's angsty. I know it's romantic, and I can't wait to read this. I can't wait to read this. Those were the books that I left Barnes & Noble with. Those were the books that I wanted to get from any of the bookstores that I went to today. And then lastly, one of your books got to be half off if you bought one of the books that they were trying to sell. They were the picks. And this is what I got with that. This is The Artist and the Feast. I know it's 1920s Paris, and that's all I know. I know it's literary fiction. I know she said there's a good love story a part of this, and she said that her sister had just read it and was obsessed with it. I love this cover, and I think this would be really fun to read in the summer on to the indie bookstores. I only got to go to 2 for this day, and that's okay. That's okay, but it was they were perfect. We couldn't have picked more perfect ones. Writer's Block Bookstore. This is the owner. Her name is Lauren, so it's female-owned indie bookstore. And let me just pull up. Like, she discusses it on the website, kind of her inspiration and what they're all about. They've been open since 2014. They are heavy in community connections, building a community, and the importance of having a community space for reading, for literature, and having a bookstore within your community, and like the special connections that you can make through that, and that the special connections that books bring on. Let's see. She has her master's degree in social work, and she spent many years working as an attorney defending the rights of children in dependency court. And she wasn't sure where she was going to go at the time, and then she's listening to this podcast and noted that she couldn't live in a town that doesn't have a local independently owned bookstore, and that's kind of what set her on this journey. And it's really just about like having a non-pretentious, community-based, warm, safe space, and that is what that was. I loved this bookstore. I loved the setup. It was busy, but everybody was like there looking for their books. I don't know. It was busy, but I felt like I was never in anybody's way. It was so good. The community was so good. It's in such a good area. There's brunch spots, different shops. Like, you could have a whole day there. You could go get brunch, get mimosas, be a little tipsy while you go book shopping, go shopping for some clothes. I mean, it was such a cute little area. I was obsessed with the area. I wish we would have almost started our day a little bit earlier and got there earlier. And then it's set up very nice. They have so many new releases, so many cool editions, really, really cool editions. So some of them were a little bit more expensive, but they were very like nice hardback. I mean, it was giving like the fancy ones like Owl Crate. So hopefully if I fall in love with the book that I got, I can find the matching thing for this. If not, I guess we're going back to Orlando, Florida. They had really cute different merchandise. They had a bunch of stickers. They had Kindle cases, I believe. I highly recommend this bookstore. Again, 10 out of 10 experience. But I ended up getting The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I'm probably butchering that, and I totally apologize. I probably should have researched before I picked this up. The Goodreads reviews on this book, insane. It's like a 4.14, 4.2 something. It's very, very good. This cover, are you kidding me? This is like real. You guys know like the Fourth Wing books? Those hardcovers they feel so cheap and flimsy, and like it's just gonna fall apart at any second. This is not that. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And honestly, I don't know too much about this book. It's fantasy, it's giving assassin. So our female main character has never believed in magic. She has no power, and she's a con woman of unsurpassed talent. She knows better than anyone that the trades she uses to get by, palm reading czars, and mysterious gift for healing actually, are all tricks. She ends up meeting the prince. She embarks on a trip with the prince. And then it says, even the cleverest of schemes can have deadly consequences. I think this is going to be so good. And hopefully, if I do love it, I'll be able to find the next books in the same thing, because I assume it's going to be a series. 10 out of 10 experience. Highly recommend. If you are in Florida, you definitely need to go to Writer's Block Bookstore. 100%. This is actually the first place we went to, and this is the new Romantics, a romance-only bookstore. This bookstore. Okay, this is woman-owned, small business. I don't actually know how long they've been open for. She owns it. She's Latina, so she kind of takes from her experience of mixing her different lifestyles, being Cuban and being American, and incorporating those, and how that incorporates into our identity and making people feel safe to come to a bookstore from all different types of identities, which I love. And yeah, they have a wide range of authors, wide range of books, all romance only, but different subgenres within the genre. Their mission is to create a safe, diverse space for all romance readers and uplift the romantic stories we read. They value community, inclusion, connection, empathy, love, passion, respect, and gratitude. And their biggest thing is just making people feel comfortable and safe within the space and within the genre. And it was such a beautiful space. It was gorgeous. There was a beautiful little setup for seating. I mean, you could totally get your book, read a little bit in there, or read little bits of books before you decide which one you're going home with. The merchandise. Gorgeous Kindle cases, t-shirts, tote bags, hoodies. I mean, they literally had all the things. I could have dropped a bag. I could have dropped a bag in that bookstore, but I didn't. I did buy 2 books, but forgive me. I was only going to 3. Normally I would go to 5 if I could, but I was only going to 3. So I did end up leaving with 2 books, but one of them is a trophy. Well, actually, they're both kind of trophies. A lot of the books that I was looking for, I'm a little bit behind on. So they had like the second or third book in the series, but they didn't have the first ones that I was looking for. But it was such a good setup. They had a whole specific section of books that were written in Spanish. They section everything off into, young adult romance, LGBTQ plus romance, fantasy romance, contemporary romance, sports romance. But they also had really cool editions. They had UK editions of books, which is cool if you're looking to like collect books or add to your bookshelves, bookcases, because some of the UK covers are just gorgeous. But yeah, I loved it in there. The girls were having a time in there. There was a lot of different places where you could take pictures, and everybody was taking cute little pictures. It was such a good space, and it felt so safe, and it felt so welcoming. One book on my priority was Rewind It Back by Tomforde. I can't tell yet, but this might be my favorite book in the series, which I haven't heard a whole lot of people saying that. I heard definitely mixed reviews, but I loved this one. We're following Hallie and Rio. Rio's kind of been giving class clown the whole time, but he's a hockey player. She's an interior designer. They were childhood friends to lovers to strangers. They haven't talked for some time, but now she is designing his home. And so that, of course, puts them in some different encounters. And I ate this up. I loved this. I loved Rio and I loved Hallie. I loved seeing all the found family and how she wrapped it up so nicely. And it feels like what she's setting up for what's going to be a different one of her interconnected standalone romance series, which I can't wait to read. But I really enjoyed this one. I mean, I don't know if it's my favorite male main character or even female main character from the whole thing, but the book itself and the story and the writing might have been my favorite. I had to get this, and they had this cover. I have Play Along, which is another one of my favorites, and it's not in this cover, and I'm thinking of perhaps like donating that one so I can go back and get this cover. But I had to pick this up there because I was in the middle of reading it. I was like 75% through when I bought this one, and I was gonna leave it at that. I was trying to find Please Don't Go, but shut the front door. They had this edition of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I love this book, and I'm obsessed with this cover. I think it's gorgeous. My only thing about UK versions is they're a bit stiffer, but for a display and for maybe my next reread, I'm just so excited to have this. I almost lost it when I saw this. I was so excited. I did have to get this. Period. End of story. Some honorable mentions that I would have loved to go to that I couldn't go to would what I'm hearing is the best places to get secondhand books is BrightLight Books and Best Used Books. Those were a bit more north than where we were located, and I believe you can also sell your books back to those places. There's also this place called Authentic Books. Their setup is very cool, and everything's painted, like the walls are pretty dark because their goal is like the immersiveness of getting immersed into a read, and I think the concept there is really cool. This is your sign. If you're in Orlando, Florida, go check out some of these indie bookstores. Couldn't have had a better time. That was today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you read, loved any of the books that I talked about today, or read or loved any of the bookstores I talked about today, or if you want to give us other independent bookstore options in Orlando, Florida, please comment down below, and I will see you in the next one. Happy reading!